It's about being clear on the direction towards which we are heading, right? And not be concerned, about the low energy person because when the low energy person does come around, they're gonna come around no matter what. You know what you need to do. You're not gonna be concerned with that. When the high energy person does come around, you know what you need to do.
I'm Antonio Zanalato.
And I am your co-host, Jacob Saldana.
And I'm here to serve men who are seeking more out of their life and themselves, men who are ready to dive deeper and do the work. In this podcast, we will help increase your curiosity in order to live more of an examined life,
to live with integrity for yourself and others,
and to accept the things in life that you can control. Our goal is to help you bring out the warrior within you. Welcome to the Warrior Lab.
It's Wednesday. Another episode of the Warrior Lab coming at you. This is Jacob Saldana checking in.
What up, guys? Antonio Zanalato here.
And as always, really appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy days to join along this conversation. We know that if we're not protecting our energy, we end up losing ourselves in the day, and we might be taking steps backwards. And that's going to be the topic of this conversation. How to find yourself, and first off, maybe just defining what energy is, right? Like that can get very woo-woo. That can mean something different for you, different for me. So how are you defining when you're talking about like low energy, high energy, protecting your energy? What does all that look like?
Is that filling my cup, or is taking away from my cup? Right? Is that filling me, or is that drawing from me? Right? That's how I value energy, and it's just it comes in a form of, it could come across different landscapes, right? But my gauges are mostly around the physical realm of things and around the emotional realm of things.
Okay.
Right? Is these what I'm exposing myself to is once I'm done with it, am I tired? Am I drained? Am I exhausted? Or am I alive? Or I'm ready to go for another round. Emotionally, after I'm done with this, I'm irritable. Am I angry? Am I taking off on someone else? Right? How am I emotionally after this exposure?
Yeah.
And those are my two primary gauges. And there are other gauges there too, but those are my two primary ones for sure.
Yeah, and in typical fashion, I like to complicate the shit out of it and not have as much clarity around it. Yeah. So, sometimes, what I end up doing is like rationalizing and justifying this discomfort or things that might be making me unhappy in order for this other future payout. So I'm always trying to, I guess, play this game because I do know that just like seeking happiness isn't the goal. Seeking things out that are just filling you up and you're leaving the conversation happier isn't gonna, I think, necessarily get you where you need to be either. So
that's the opportunity. When the opportunity cost comes in, right? Is what I'm sacrificing here, right? I value of what I will be gaining. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? Me sacrificing going to the beach to a vacation because I have I have a family contract, $1 million contract on the table to cruise. Is that really sacrificing? Right? Mm-hmm. And again, the values hierarchy comes into place here. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah, I'm gonna have an immediate satisfaction by laying on the beach. Am I gonna really enjoy laying on the beach when I know that I could be missing out on closing on a $5 million contract?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
right? And so is that really sacrificing? No. So again, guys, I believe that's why it's important to know what our bodies are.
Yeah, and it's easy to talk about like high energy people, low energy people. For me, I guess one thing that is very draining for me to be around is people that are constantly complaining. I really like solutions and don't even want you to complain to me unless you have two solutions, which I guess you wouldn't be complaining to me in the first place if you had solutions. But I'm very much that. So like that for me, I would, again, the term, I guess the language is like complainers, but that is also low energy. That's draining of me. Anytime I'm around that type of person, it really drains from me.
Yeah, and it's important to assess if that person who's complaining is he or she a regular complainer, or just brought something to your attention, and because maybe you're not that much of a complainer because you're repressing that side of you, so right now you're projecting, right? Because I sometimes find myself, in a place where I am hard time under hearing what you're saying right now with your complaint, but it's because it could be because I'm not a complainer. I suppress stuff. I take stuff with my own hands and try to figure shit out, which is not necessarily always the good thing. So you understand what I'm saying here. So it's important that we make that distinction between a chronic complainer versus someone who's just expressing their opinion, and we have a hard time hearing them because we are not accepting that side of ourselves.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Right?
Yeah, and I guess finding like who we choose to spend our time with. I think if your goal is to improve, so I've talked about having multiple values, and the ultimate goal for me is to be like a role model of somebody that has multiple value systems and achieves success in all of those to a certain extent. And by doing so, I know that I might not be as wealthy as the person who only chases wealth, but it's because I have these other images of wealth, right? So it's like,
why are you telling yourself that story?
Because it's not solely because, again, like I'm making decisions not based off of just that money. I'm making decisions based off of like my family or other things that make me feel good about my choices. So I guess my example in that is what we often find, as men, is like our examples of people that we look up to, like say in the business world that's crushing it. All they're talking about is money, 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 money. And this might be the story where now that I'm just thinking that they're not taking care of their family, they're not taking care of their body, they're not taking care of these other things, which might not be true. They're just maybe choosing to niche down on this narrative of like money and driving money, and where what I would like to communicate is basically hitting all of those pillars. So that's why I very actively talk about multiple arenas, and making money in business is one of them, but there's these other areas. So I guess in regards to, I guess what I'm saying is that making it known that if you are going to surround yourself with somebody who's like super aggressive on money and that's their main driver, they can be super high energy in regards to that arena, and you can be a part of that, and they might be able to pull you up in that space, but also just know that there's other areas that they might not be thriving in, and it's okay to seek out mentors in multiple areas. And I'm speaking to myself here, and where it's like, I don't have that many examples of people that are really financially wealthy, that are making great decisions when it comes to like their relationships and doing right by them, that, are really getting after it. There's been people I've interacted with, but I haven't became like friends with them, so I don't get to see what that really looks like, because again, what we present outwards isn't really what it is, right? So like I don't know exactly what that looks like, and maybe I should make more of an effort to be in those circles. But more what's seen more is, again, people staying in one lane and really crushing that lane. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No,
but
it does and it doesn't. In the sense that, yeah, there are people where are only focusing on money and they disregard everything else in their life, right? And we have examples of that. We have plenty examples of that. We have examples of people who are wealthy, who are healthy, who live healthy relationships. Now we just have to figure out who we are, right? In which category do we fall, right? So I know where I'm gonna fall. I know who I am. I know who you are. So I'm not concerned to be surrounded. If right now my focus is to become wealthy, I'm not concerned of how the person who's only primarily focused on wealth, it's going to affect the other realms of my life. I know who I am.
Yeah.
I know what I want. So that's him. That's not me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If he disregards all the other realms of his life, that's him. That's not me. That's his story. That's not my story. So I'm not going to make that a priority. I'm not going to make that a concern. Right? Once I achieve my wealth, now it's my decision to figure out if I want to keep that person, still want to keep that person around or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I get it. It makes a lot of sense, and I should probably pursue mentors who have really killed it in those arenas, and then just stack that up against my values and see where that leads me. You know what I mean?
Correct. And it's not. This is not a comparing game. You know what I mean? This is not a comparing game. Is because if I'm comparing myself, I posted something about this yesterday on my Instagram. Like, if I'm comparing myself to someone else, that means that I didn't really fully accept who I am. Right? Now, if I inspire by that same person, now that's a different story. I know who I am, I know where I stand, and I'm inspired by this person. I'm not comparing, right? So this is not a comparison game. So that's important to be aware of. However, going back to what we were talking about here is, as long, that's why, and I'm going to keep going back there. I know I could be redundant on this, but that's why knowing our values is key for everything else, for all aspects of our lives. The decisions we make, we surround ourselves with, what we eat, how we train, how we sleep, they all go back to what our values are.
Mm-hmm.
So once we have clarity around that, when those values are nice and clear, and then everything else, it's really becomes easy to navigate.
Do you actively
Easier.
try to just surround yourself with people that might be ahead of you in any specific
I
realm?
attract them. I'm the way I operate, I came to the conclusion that I don't chase. I'm not a chaser. I attract just by the way I show up.
And but in a say you're only looking to surround yourself or have relationships, or you're attracting relationships of these high end energy individuals in the realm of, say, wealth. Would you consider yourself, I guess, on that high energy trajectory?
Yes.
And now in that conversation, like, they should be fucking with you because you might not be where they are financially, but you're high energy in that direction.
I have something that they don't.
What's that?
They have something that they don't.
Yeah. So we can acknowledge that. What I'm thinking about is the people who might not feel like where they are, where we are, might feel like they can't approach us in certain things because depending on how people are interpreting what we're talking about as low energy or not, they might be like, oh, I'm lower energy, or I'm not on that level. And there needs to be a willingness to draw from those people in an effort to also fill our cup and the lessons within that. Even if it's just a reminder of where we were at one point.
Yeah, and to our listeners out there, it's not about defining low energy, high energy, middle energy. He's defining who we want to be, where we want to be, right? And taking the steps towards that. And everything else is going to fall into places. It's about being clear on the direction towards which we are heading, right? And not be concerned, about the low energy person, because when the low energy person does come around, they're going to come around no matter what. You know what you need to do. You're not going to be concerned with that. When the high energy person does come around, you know what you need to do. So do not be concerned on others people's energy too much, or you align yourself with, because ultimately is the alignment is within yourself, within your thoughts, your words, your action, and your art. What I really want in life. And be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And be honest with yourself. And taking the steps towards that direction. Not be concerned about your surrounding. They're gonna, like the low energy people, once you start increasing your energy, they're gonna drop.
Yeah. So thinking about the time you're spending, and you might, looking back on the hour you just spent, did that move you closer to your goals, or did it just stop you in your place, or did it even maybe move you backwards? Mm-hmm. And then not really beating yourself up on that hour you just spent, but just being cognizant of that moving forward, and was like, okay, I'm going to spend less hours doing that thing.
Correct.
In pursuit of your values or the ultimate goal that you might be on right now. So yeah, that's really it, I think, and really there's certain conversations that I have that absolutely light me up. Mm-hmm. And there's certain conversations that I have that don't. And I know I'm going to continue to have conversations that don't necessarily make me feel all that great in an effort to get more in alignment with the things that do, right? Mm-hmm. Like if we're not having those low energy moments, sometimes it's a great reminder of like what high energy feels like. Correct. When you're living in that space, right? So
it will not be high energy if there's no low energy.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the challenge for today. Just think about those relationships, the time spent, the projects you're working on that feel like they're just draining your energy, and simply do less of those while you're pursuing things that fill you up and get you excited. The conversations, the relationships, the projects that do that, spend more time doing that, and the hard conversations sometimes you might need to have that and just and do that in an effort to get yourself on the path that you need to go in. It's pretty simple as that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. Short, sweet. We in and out on these Wednesdays. Reach out to me, Cub_Saldana.
Strength philosopher.
And then hit that website, Warriorlab.coach. If you have any questions, quick little inquiry, fill that out. And if you guys feel so inclined, if any of these conversations have resonated with you at all, what's really awesome is if you just give this a share. This is just a very grassroots project that Antonio and myself are working on. So any sharing means a lot, And
any feedback.
Yeah, as well. So be a part of the conversation. Hit us up on Instagram. We're around. Reach out if you need us. All right. Peace.
Peace.